everyone, it's Liddy and welcome back to my channel. So today we're going to be doing another collective haul. I've accumulated a bunch of manga that I am so excited to share with you. Today we're going to be doing basically kind of a new haul. So most of it's from SciFier, and then we have loads of stuff from Blackwells, which we've been finding lots of cheap deals. Blackwells does like random discounts on random volumes here and there, and I'm always checking there to see if there's some discounts, and sometimes things are like half price I've been getting from there, so it's amazing. And then also have a parcel from Forbidden Planet Brighton, which Geeky Dreams sent over to me in like a grab bag, so really thank you for that one, Geeky. And then I also have a box set as well. I purchased a box set that I've been wanting to get for a while, and yeah, you'll have seen it probably in the thumbnail, but really excited to share all those goodies with you. Hope everyone has been well. Make sure to join my Discord, details down below, so we can chat together and you can keep up to date with all my videos. And then I also have affiliate links down below to give you some extra discount. But yeah, let's get into the haul. So I'm going to start off with some of the stuff that I got from SciFier. Let's start with, so 2 volumes I got to finish off a series that I have is Kino's Journey volume 7 and 8. This one is a really great series. Honestly, I started collecting it when I went to Birmingham that one time, which I have a video on, and I pretty much picked up 1 to 6, but they didn't have volume 8, so I ended up just leaving volume 7. But I picked these up and I recently read it like a month or 2 ago and really enjoyed it. It's like very thought-provoking and kind of like psychological as well, and kind of talks about people and kind of their morality and the way they treat other people as well as the way they think. And basically there was a traveler that came to this person's village, and then that traveler's name was Kino, and then this girl at the time was part of a society in which later on, when they come to a certain age, they get a surgery to alter their brain, and it basically makes them become like quite obedient, something like that. She doesn't want to go through with the surgery, and then the traveler Kino ends up kind of convincing her that it's something that you don't want to do, so don't do it. But then because he helped her, they end up killing Kino. But Kino was traveling with a motorcycle called Hermes. So then the girl ends up taking Hermes and then runs away from that village after they've killed the traveler. And then she ends up taking on Kino's name. So that's why it's called Kino's Journey. And so Kino becomes Kino. So it kind of, the way I explain it is probably a little bit confusing, but Kino basically ends up traveling with Hermes. But they run into some really weird and interesting places, and I'll tell you, like, this series is very psychological because the things that happen within some of these cities and towns is like really crazy. And I'll definitely recommend this one. I feel like it's so underrated. I feel like the anime is not very, like, a lot of people know about the anime, but not a lot of people read the manga. And I think it's because the light novel, which is the source material, is a lot more in depth. Whereas the manga obviously kind of skips things and is not as detailed as the light novels. But I've been really enjoying the manga, and some of these places are really like effed up. Oh my god, like, yeah, some of these are like shocking, like things that you find out about them, and just like the way the town works is just insane. You gotta try this series for sure. I really highly recommend this one. But yeah, love this one. If you're into like psychological kind of thought-provoking stories about like humanity and morality, definitely check this one out. And if you like traveling stories as well. And then the next one, a little bit more lighter, is Yuri Espoir. This one is, not a lot of people talk about it, but it's basically about a girl who is going to, I think, once she graduates from high school, she's gonna be basically set up with someone and will be in like an arranged marriage with a man, and that's kind of the end of her story. But she has like this fascination with like yuri couples, and like yuri, basically she has like this thing where before she ends up, like, her life pretty much ends, which is in her words, she wants to draw as much like yuri as she can about like the people that she sees like on the train or like just generally. So she kind of wants to indulge in, you know, her love for women and creates like a ultimate lesbian sketchbook basically. So I thought that concept was very unique, very interesting. It definitely has like a little bit of a sadder kind of element to it, mainly because she feels like she won't be able to, you know, love who she loves, because at the end of the day her father is just going to set her up with someone, and that's kind of her life. So it does have like quite a sad undertone from the synopsis, so we'll see how it goes. But I've heard some people say that they really enjoy it and it's really fun, so yeah, I'm definitely willing to try it out and see how it is. And then another Yuri series I got is Throw Away the Suit Together. This one looked really cute, and also someone on the Discord, Hannah, who is also a really big Yuri lover, told me that they really liked this, and so of course I had to get it. And it's basically about two people who are, I think they're like going to college or they're trying to find jobs, but then they kind of end up going, oh F it, don't wanna do this anymore, and they like end up just moving to the island together. And for me, that just sounds like something that I would love to do, honestly. Just like leave everything behind and then just go to an island with someone that I love. Like that just sounds really great, just devoid of all responsibilities. Obviously not very realistic, but it's obviously a Yuri series, so gotta get it, gotta support it. Definitely excited to read this one. And then we got a BL series, which is Mobsters in Love. This one looks like they're kind of older, which I really, really like, because a lot of the time there are series where it mostly focuses on high school students, and so I love a little bit of like older men in the stories. But Kate Tins talks about this series and really, really liked the first volume, so I decided to pick it up to see what it's about. And I think it has like that kind of Yakuza vibe to it, which I love, so had to pick it up. And then I have another Yuri series, which Reversi on YouTube, who I really admire when they used to make videos. They don't make as much videos anymore, but they read this and really liked it, and I never ended up picking it up for some reason, but I found it. I saw it on SciFier. I think it was used and it was really cheap, so I ended up picking it up. Yeah, it looks like it's an office-based Yuri series, so I had to try it, and yeah, we'll see if I'm into it. And the next one is Our Dreams at Dusk. This one was also one of the used volumes on SciFier that I picked up. Was really cheap. This is by the same author who has done Shonen Note. I think this was one of their first series that really like popped off and got a lot of recognition. And I'm not really 100% sure what it's about, but I heard it's quite deep, the story. It focuses on like LGBTQ elements and aspects to it, so I'm interested to see what happens in here. I heard a lot of people love it. It's very thought-provoking. And then another series I got was Young Ladies Don't Play Fighting Games. This one is volume 5, and this one I also talked about in a previous haul, but I was actually gonna get rid of this series. I only had like 1, 3, and 4 or something, and I never could find volume 2 at the time when I was really into it. So then I ended up not reading it and then put it off buying the second volume, and then I just kind of fell off of it and didn't really think about it. But when I reread volume 1, I ended up actually really liking it, and then I got volume 2 and read that and really liked it, so I'm continuing the story now. But this one is about an all-girls high school, very prestigious. It's very kind of like academic, and ladies within the school are very like proper and prim. But there is a girl who's kind of a commoner in this school but got in through a scholarship, and she loved playing fighting games back in the day, but then she kind of fell off it because no one like who she used to play with, they kind of outgrew that fighting game, and then no one was playing with her. So but then she ends up finding out that one of the girls who is like really highly looked up to and is like thought of as such like a perfect lady, she catches her playing fighting games and like shouting obscenities, and then she's like so shocked obviously, but then she ends up doing the fighting game with her and fighting against her. And then it kind of reignites her love for fighting games again that she kind of had lost when she was younger and like no one else wanted to play with her. And so it kind of focuses on them two sneaking off and trying to play fighting games together without getting caught, because obviously this school is very prestigious. You know, you have to be like a proper lady. You can't be playing fighting games. Like, that's not what proper ladies do in this manga. And so they end up trying to find ways in which they can play together. And then they also end up meeting people who are part of the disciplinary committee and things like that, and then find out they also play fighting games and they also like playing. So then they kind of form like this little band of girls who end up playing fighting games. It's not like super outright GL, but there are hints of it, kind of with like the blushing and stuff. So I'm excited to see like if there is a relationship that develops. But if you like fighting games and if you're like into fighting games, you'll definitely like it, because there is certain lingo in here that only people who play fighting games or play games in general will understand, and it's very relatable. So yeah. And then I got another GL, which is the first volume of Kiss the Scars of the Girls. I talked about this in my Birmingham shopping trip. I basically bought volume 2 and 3 because they didn't have volume 1, and then so I ended up going on SciFier and purchasing volume 1 there. And this is basically like a high school vampire GL series, and so I had to try it. And then we got Delicious in Dungeon volume 13. I actually completely forgot that I needed volume 13 for some reason when I went to my Birmingham trip. So obviously after I came back, I made like a little order of stuff that I couldn't find or missed out on. So this is volume 13. I'm pretty sure everyone knows what Delicious in Dungeon is. If you don't know, definitely check out the anime. It's on Netflix. And then the next one I got is The Girl I Want Is So Handsome, the complete manga collection. This one is like a chunky omniverse version of like the whole series. And this one I picked up obviously because it's a GL, but it's the same mangaka as The Summer You Were There, which is one of my all-time favorite GL series. If you didn't know, oh my god, The Summer You Were There, definitely check that one out. But this one is by the same author, and so obviously I wanted to get her other works that were printed in English and support her. This one I think is a little bit more of a less sad, less depressing version of a GL story from what I can see, whereas The Summer You Were There is like basically just heartbreak and sadness. So this one looks like a more of a lighthearted fun version, and obviously I had to get it because I love GL and I love The Summer You Were There and I love this mangaka. And then I got Cherry Magic Volume 11. This one is one of my favorite BL series ongoing ones, and it's just so cute, so sweet. I've talked about this also a lot on my channel, but if you don't know what it's about, definitely check out my BL recommendations. I talk about it on there. And the next one from SciFier I got was The King's Beast Volume 13. I binge read this whole series and enjoyed it a lot more than I initially did when I read it. Like, I think I've read it twice, and then I read it again and binge read it, and it like was so much more enjoyable binge reading it. So definitely if you want to try The King's Beast, I would recommend binge reading it. So I'll probably wait for few volumes to come out and then binge read it again. But it's basically about this girl called Rengatsu, and she is on a mission to seek revenge for her twin brother Sogetsu, because he was chosen to become a beast servant to one of the princes of the palace. But then during that time he ends up getting killed, and so she ends up pretending to be a guy, joins the military, and then infiltrates the palace so that she can find out what happened to her twin brother and also seek revenge. But then once she gets into the palace, she realizes there are things that happened that she didn't expect, and the person who was the prince that her brother was protecting was actually a really, really nice person, and is also one of those people who wants to create change within the palace. So they kind of end up teaming up to try and figure out like what's happening, and then there's a lot of like twists and turns that happen within the story, and it just like gets really interesting, and I really like where the development is going, and just like the reveals and stuff have been really, really good. So definitely recommend this one. I feel like this one is probably Raid Homer's strongest work, and I know people say that it kind of is an extension of Raid Homer's other work, which is Dawn of the Arcana, so it's like set in the same world. But I didn't really enjoy Dawn of the Arcana, but this one is really good. So if you're not like been a super fan of Ray Turner, which I haven't been, I didn't really like her other work, the Water Dragon's Bride. I did not like that one, and I read that one in its entirety. Definitely check out The King's Beast. I think you'll like it. But obviously her like art style is stunning, as you can see. Like, she has amazing art style, which I can't deny. And the next volume I have is Yokohama Kaidashi Kikou. This one is the deluxe edition, so it's like, I think it's a 2-in-1 or a 3-in-1, I'm not really sure. But this one focuses on Alpha, who is an android, and then she lives by like this seaside village, and it kind of focuses on her interactions with people in the town and her kind of running this little cafe that no one really visits often, but then there are a few people who do come and visit her. And then she also meets like other androids as well along her journey, and it's just a very like quiet slice of life seaside town type of story. And when I was reading it, I usually like slice of life manga, but this one just felt like, I don't know, I'm not like super into it. Like, I didn't get hooked on it. I know a lot of people love this series, so I'm definitely like hoping that I can check it out, maybe another volume, but I don't know, it didn't hook me. So I'm intrigued to see like if the next volumes will, but yeah, it's quite quiet, very simple. It does have some like interesting kind of mythological elements to it, because there's like this creature that also appears that is a little bit creepy, but and I'm not sure about this one, but I'll, you know, see how I feel about it. Next volume I got was The Remarried Empress, volume 7. This one is a really popular manhwa series, and I also really like it. I'm not up to date with reading it though. I did read like a bunch of chapters online when the first volume came out, and then I kind of slowed down and I haven't caught up. So I'm not really sure where volume 7 starts and where it ends. It's a really cool story, and I'm really intrigued to continue it so that I can find out what happens. The story basically starts off with Navia, the main character, declaring a divorce on her husband, and then saying that she is going to remarry with this guy Henry. So that kind of is like showing the future, but then it goes into like flashbacks to show you how that time ultimately came about and why that story became like that, and it kind of follows that story, and then we'll probably see like the timelines start to merge again from the beginning. I really like Navia. She's very strong. She's obviously very hurt by the fact that her husband at the time basically betrayed her, because he ended up getting like a mistress, and then like so much stuff happens and the mistress is really annoying, but the husband, the emperor or whatever, is just like really horrible. And so you kind of like root for these characters to leave and then just like be together. So that's kind of how it goes, but there's a lot of political elements to the story, a lot of things that go on. It's like very messy in terms of manhwa stories. They always got a bit of like messiness to it, a little bit like really infuriating characters, which is like very manhwa style, like K-dramas are as well. You get like these really infuriating people that you just want them to like die. But yeah, really like this one. Definitely check it out if you're on the lookout for a really good manhwa series and also want to support the industry. And then the last 3 volumes I got on SciFier was the Elden Ring manga. So this one, I got volume 1, volume 2, and volume 3. This one I got... Okay, so I'm literally obsessed with Elden Ring. Elden Ring is probably one of my top 5 favorite games that I've ever played. I played the recent DLC, Shadow of the Erdtree, and absolutely fell in love with everything. Like, I always liked Elden Ring at the start, but then when I went to the DLC, I realized how much I loved it again. And so that's why I bought the manga, and I wanted to, you know, get a little bit more of the lore of Elden Ring, because there is a lot of Elden Ring lore, but it's kind of scattered throughout by either like reading descriptions of your weapons, like your items, everything like that. Like, you can read those and then you'll be able to kind of figure out like certain laws. So I watch a lot of lore videos on Elden Ring because I obviously love it, but I also find that like the lore is quite hard to understand if you're just playing the game. Apparently there's quite a bit of lore in this that kind of sticks to it. But in this manga, it's more like a gag manga. So it kind of has a protagonist that is a little bit like stupid. Like, I don't know if I could show this, but you can see like it's just very silly. But apparently it's actually quite good at sticking to the lore of Elden Ring in itself. So obviously I was intrigued to read it and see what it's about. But I'm sure it has like a lot of silly things that go on and gag humor basically. Obviously I love Elden Ring, had to get it. I need to read this though. I'm really looking forward to reading it. So that was everything I got from SciFier. If you want to shop on SciFier, definitely use my discount code lyddietwitch. I'll put it up here for 5% off your entire order, and you can get loads of cheap manga. So definitely check that out. I'll leave all the links down below. Now I'm going to probably go into everything that I got on Blackwells. So the first one is volume 2 of Turns Out My Online Friend Is My Real Boss, and I got this really cheap. But this one is basically about a guy who works in an office, and his boss is kind of difficult. Every time he submits something, he ends up having to redo it because his boss is not happy with the quality of it. His only solstice in this is going home and playing this video game and talking to his online friend, who kind of lends him his ear to talk about his woes at work. And then later on, he realizes or finds out that his boss is actually the online friend that he's been talking to this whole time. And so it kind of starts from there. Kind of has that waterkoi cherry magic vibes with the office based, and it just looks really cute. I have not read my volume 1 yet, but I saw volume 2 so cheap. I basically purchased it before I could even think. So yeah. And then the next 3 volumes I got was Tokyo Tarareba Girls, and this one is volume 5, 7 and 9, and I basically got this because it was so cheap as well. All 3 of these volumes were around £5, and also they kind of came with annoying like scuffs here. All 3 volumes had like scuffs on the spine, as you can see. And so I did email Blackwells, and they were like, we can give you 25% discount off all 3. So I was like, yeah, why not? That's fine. And so I ended up getting these really cheap. All 3 of these were like £4 less each, which is so cheap. So I'm really happy about that. But this one is by the same author who did Princess Jellyfish. I started reading Princess Jellyfish and really liked it, but I haven't tried this one, Tokyo Tarareba Girls, but people do say it's really funny. So I just decided to get it and support her, because I feel like I don't have enough josei manga in my collection, which is a real shame because there's a lot of good ones out there. I'm really excited to have these. And the next one is Omniscient Reader's Viewpoint Volume 3. I actually started reading the first volume the other day, and it's actually a lot more darker than I anticipated. The character that is like the main evil character in here is fucking creepy. It's about a guy who reads this light novel and has been reading it for years of his life, and the light novel has like 3,000 chapters, and finally it's come to an end. And then once he reads the ending, the author ends up sending him something in a file later on. Like while he's on the train, something starts to happen and the light novel becomes real life. And obviously the main character or the main protagonist in this story knows kind of what happens in the story, because he's probably the only one who's read the light novel. And so he kind of uses his knowledge that he has of the story to help him survive in this new world. The evil character is like this bunny, and he basically sets like tasks, and it's like, oh, you have to kill something within this time limit. And so people end up starting to go crazy and doing like really violent things, and it is a lot more violent than I anticipated. Like, can you see, like, it's very dark. I really liked the first volume. It's not what I expected really. And the next one I got is Dangerous Convenience Store Volume 3. This one is a mature BL series that I read online initially, and then it got licensed finally, and everyone was really happy about it. But it basically focuses on 2 people called Konhu and Uijun. We call Konhu Ajashi because in Korea, like older men, we call them Ajashi, but he's kind of dubbed Ajusi because he's like really good looking. Anyways, it's basically about him, but he's kind of a gangster basically, and he ends up frequenting this convenience store that is in an area which is quite shady. There's a lot of like bad people around, but he's really nice to the convenience store person who is Uijin. Somehow they end up kind of getting together in like a physical sense. I don't remember how it happened. I think it's when the convenience store worker runs into his ex, and then Adachi sees them, and then he helps him or something, and then they end up having like a relationship. It's been a while since I read this, so I definitely need to reread the volumes that I have. I think it's only like 6 volumes, so once everything is out, I'll probably do a binge read. It's quite explicit, so be warned of that, but it's a very highly rated BL manhwa. And then the next volume I got was Nina the Starry Bride, volume 5. I really love this series. I read up to volume 7 online and absolutely adored it. Like, it was so pretty. I'm not really sure like if the story is going in the way that I wanted to, because I'm team Azure, but a lot of people are team Seth, and I'm like, oh man, like if it goes in that direction, I'm gonna be really upset. We'll see. But it's basically about a girl who has like lapis lazuli eyes, and so she resembles one of the princesses that basically passed away. So she ends up getting bought from like the streets and gets taken into this palace and is learning to become the princess that passed away. And so she's obviously been living on the streets, so she has like no idea of like etiquette and just like being a princess, so she struggles a lot. And at the beginning she's obviously a little bit bratty because, you know, she got betrayed by her friend and she's having to become a princess when she lives on the street, so she has to learn all these new things. So obviously it's going to be so difficult for her, so I completely understand why she's the way she is. So I don't really blame her for that, but she grows so much during the story, or the progression of the story, and you just see her become this really strong-willed person. Really recommend this series if you're into like shoujo stories, as well as like political intrigue and also romance. Very good. And then 3 volumes of a series I got is Shonen Note, volume 8, 3 and 1. Basically about a guy. He is a soprano boy, so he sings really high pitched, but obviously there is an element in the background of that he will eventually lose his soprano tone once he becomes older and his voice starts to break. And so it's kind of focusing on his current musical career, I guess, whilst he still has this very high-pitched soprano voice. I think it focuses on a lot more than that, but the volume 1 kind of sets up that story. So intrigued to see how this develops. And the next one is a manhwa. This one is a stepmother's marchen. This one I read also the first volume a while ago, but this one is about a girl who ends up marrying a duke, I think, or a count, or someone like in higher society. And she's like really young. I think she's only 16 when she gets married to like this older man who is widowed, and he already has kids. And so she enters this family, but obviously kind of gets ostracized because she's so young and she doesn't know what's happening. And then the count or duke ends up passing away, and then she has to take over the estate. And then there's a lot of things that happen, which obviously was really hard for her because she's so young. She has to take over the estate, and all his previous kids just don't like her and doesn't have a good relationship with her. And then one day when the eldest son finally is going to take over the estate, she can just kind of, you know, rest now. And then so she decides that she wants to just go out away and leave the estate and like live her own life finally. But then on the way, I think she gets killed, and then she reincarnates to the day of the funeral again of the duke, with the knowledge that she has of her past. So then she ends up trying to relive her life from that day and kind of sees it with different eyes. And obviously she can see like who's trying to manipulate her, and also what she can do better to have a better relationship with the kids that, you know, the duke left behind. Yeah, I really love stories like that where they reincarnate and then they have memories of their past or their future, sorry, and so they can kind of utilize those memories to make sure that her new future is a lot better. Excited to continue this one. And then the next one I have is Chasing Spica. This one I actually read already and I didn't really enjoy that much. It was a bit weird. It focuses on a high school student who is always getting in trouble for the way she dresses, and there is like a school committee person who is always putting down these rules. But then later on, this girl ends up finding out that the school committee person is actually selling her body, which is a little bit weird, and they're in high school, so I was a bit like and then so yeah, that's kind of where it starts. I don't really remember much about it because it was just it just felt very shallow in my opinion, like the story itself, so I didn't really love it. Not sure if I'm going to continue this one, and it was a GL, so I had to try it. That's really it. And then the next one is My Gently Raised Beast. This one I also need to catch up on because I've only read the first, I think, 2 volumes. Have really been enjoying the first 2 volumes that I read. This one is a story about a girl who, like, she's like an illegitimate child, and then her mum passes away, and then her father, who is a prestigious person in society, ends up finding out that she is who she is, and then takes her away. And then she becomes part of this society, but then obviously she's like also ostracized because she's not noble and she's like an illegitimate child, so she's like looked down upon, especially by everyone in society, but also her stepbrothers and stepsisters. But then she ends up meeting this like little creature, and then turns out he's like a beast, but then also like a human who can transform into human. And then there's this like unsettling, I guess, relationship between beasts and humans, and then there's also that kind of thing that goes on in the background. But she befriends this beast, and then he helps her out and becomes her confidant. And the next one I have is The Villainess and the Demon Knight. This one is a steamship story, and this one is like full of red flags, but it's like a guilty pleasure. There's no meaningful story behind it, but it's just good smut basically. And then we got Father, I Don't Want This Marriage. This one is a slightly newer manhwa that I think Inklaw, they published. I have no idea what it's about, but it's pretty and it was cheap, so I decided to get it. Oh, so it's like a villainess reincarnation story. Interesting. Okay, well, I'm really excited to try that now. And then the next one I got is The Titan's Bride. Not gonna lie, I was not really gonna pick this up because it didn't seem like my type of thing. It's like an isekai. I think he gets transported in another world as this Titan's Bride, and just for me personally, like the size difference in itself was putting me off, so I never got it. But then it was so cheap. It was like £5, and like look at the size difference. It's like ridiculous. Apparently it's quite explicit and it's a bit strange, but people seem to enjoy it, so I decided to give it a go. And then I got Fruits Basket Volume 9. This one was a really cheap volume on Blackwells, and it was actually one of the ones that I needed. I don't think Fruits Basket really needs an introduction, but it's basically a very well-loved classic shoujo story. And then I got A White Rose in Bloom Volume 3. This one is actually a release that took so long to arrive. It just never had like a release date, and it finally, came into print, and it was really cheap on Blackwells considering it was new. So I have a feeling it just wasn't selling. I feel like GL in general is very underrated, so usually I find them discounted a lot. But this is by the same author, Asumiko Nakamura, who did Classmates, which is a very popular BL series, but this is her like GL version, and I love her art style. It's really good. I actually read both volumes that were out, but I kind of don't remember exactly what happens. But it's very high school setting, boarding school, lots of things happen. And then I got Ennead 3 in the paperback version, but this one focuses on, I think it's Seth and Horus. I think they're like nephews. No, there's an uncle and a nephew relationship, which is a little bit weird, but this one's a very popular webtoon back in the day. I don't know if it's back in the day, but this one was a very, very popular BL webtoon. I find it weird classing it as a BL, mainly because it's like incest, so yeah, but it like has Egyptian mythology, all that thing, so yeah. And then I got My Love Story with Yamada-kun at level 999. This one, I actually haven't read my first volume, but volume 2 was so cheap. I feel like this is the whole story of this haul, is like, oh, I haven't read it yet, but it was really cheap, so I got it. So yeah, that's how it is. But this one I think focuses on like college students, which I thought was really interesting. There was also an anime that was quite popular, so a lot of people have been complaining about the print quality of this, which I also agree, because this title, the Japanese version, is like really cute and like got like that gamified type cover, but this one just like looks so plain. So it's kind of sad that they couldn't even make it pretty cover wise. I heard it's really cute. So, and then the next one is A Sign of Affection Volume 9. This one is a really cute shoujo story series about Yuki, who is deaf, and then she meets Itsuomi kind of through a mutual friend, and then they end up starting a really cute relationship and kind of talking about the language, I guess, barriers, but then he starts to slowly learn sign language for her, and it's just really, really cute. And she has like this friend who is also a friend of Itsuomi, and then they also have a really cute relationship, and then it kind of focuses on that. But she also has like this childhood friend who's creepily obsessed with her, and then he kind of is thrown into the mix. But it's really cute, really fluffy, love it so much. Definitely focuses on some really nice moments of them together. Wait, it doesn't have a colored page. It always has colored pages. What the heck? No, there's no colored page in this one. There was always a colored page. They're getting lazy. And the last one I got is this big chunky one, Under the Oak Tree. This one is a really well loved manhwa series, and I also actually started reading some of this online back in the day, but then never really got into it. But they finally decided to release it in English, and it's by Inklore as well. But this print is so stunning. Like, it's hardback and it's beautiful, honestly, really nice. And I remember reading about this, but the basic gist of the story is she ends up getting married or betrothed to this guy who's very well known as a ruthless fighter. She's obviously really scared because this is an arranged marriage. The next day he leaves to go to war, and then he leaves her for like, I don't really know how long it is, but months or year, I don't really know, I forgot. But he leaves her for that long, and then he finally comes back, and then they obviously haven't seen each other since they got married, so it's a little bit awkward at first, and then there's a lot of misunderstandings, etc, etc. And then yeah, I'm excited to try it. It'll be really hard to read because it's so heavy, but yeah, it'll be good. So yeah, that was everything I got from Blackwells. Now I'm going to go into a package that I got from Forbidden Planet International Brighton that Geeky Dreams sent me. So I haven't actually opened it yet because I just left it, but let's open it now. Geeky Dreams, who works at Forbidden Planet, they were doing £10 grab bags. She showed me some of the stuff that they were putting into their grab bags, and then she asked if there was anything that we were interested in, and then she'll bag them up for us for £10 basically. So really cheap. And these are the stuff that I decided to get. We got the Case Files of Julia Richard Volume 2, and then Case Files of Julia Richard Volume 1. So light novels are quite expensive actually, so I was really happy to find these in her grab bag and obviously get them for a really cheap price. 3 for £10 for light novels is really insane, so love that. I've got the manga version of this. Apparently the light novels are really good, so I decided that I wanted to try the light novels. I don't have much time to read all that much these days because I'm so busy with work, and when I do sometimes just want to relax, I want to just watch something or literally just like turn off my brain and watch stuff rather than reading. So I don't know when I'll get to these, but really happy to have them. And then I got The Princess of Convenient Plot Devices Volume 2. I got Volume 1 back in the day when Caitons sent me this really cute parcel. There was Volume 2 in the grab bag, so I was like, why not? So yeah, these are the 3 volumes that I got from Geeky Dreams Forbidden Planet International. Thank you so much. Lots of love. And then the last few volumes I have before I show you the box set that I got is ones that I got on eBay, which were used. So I got Confessions of a Shy Baker, and I got this from We Buy Books. This one is a BL food-based series, and I think it's like Slice of Life. And then I got Attack on Titan Volume 7, which was a volume that I needed to complete my collection. I think I only have one more volume that I need now of Attack on Titan before I finish it, and I bought Attack on Titan, the entirety of it, used. And then the last one is Usutoki Rhetoric Volume 6. These all were on WeBuyBooks for super cheap, under £5. And when you buy as well 3 books on WeBuyBooks, you can get 2 of them for 15% off. So obviously I managed to find 3 that I wanted, and so it was under £15 for all 3 of these, which is amazing. So definitely check out WeBuyBooks on eBay. You find like really good stuff on there sometimes. So now let's get into the box set that I got. So I ended up getting the Princess Jellyfish box set. So excited to have this and finally show it off to you guys. I actually started reading volume 1, and I think I got up to like volume 2 or 3 because I read it online because I wanted to try it before I invested in the box set, because I do that a lot where I obviously buy manga, then I read it and I don't like it. So I decided that this time I was going to try and read it first and then decide if I wanted it. And I really enjoyed it. I flew through the first few volumes and I was like, oh my gosh, I actually want to read this physically now and support it. It's just really wholesome. There's a certain feeling you get when you're reading it. It's also really funny. It kind of makes you think who you are as a person, and also like how you present yourself and how people perceive you is not really who you are. And also just the love the main character has for jellyfish is just really wholesome, and yeah, I really enjoy it. So I decided to get the box set, and I actually saw the box set so cheap on Amazon. I think it was like 80 something pounds, and that's really cheap for this whole box set. So I was really happy to have got it. And you can see Princess Jellyfish complete box set by Akiko Higashimura. Yeah, let me open it up now. Oh, so it comes with this little jellyfish keychain. That is so cute. And then these are the volumes. So we got volume 1, volume 2, volume 3, volume 4, volume 5, volume 6, volume 7, volume 8, and volume 9. So yeah, super excited to have this, and now I can finally read it in its entirety and enjoy it. So many people love Princess Jellyfish. Really happy to have this box set. But yeah, that was the end of my manga haul. I'm going to show you now everything laid out to show you what I got. So yeah, this is everything I got in my haul today. As you can see, we got lots of manhwa and my Princess Jellyfish box set, and just lots of different genres here, BL, GL, a lot of variety here. Really excited about all these series and super happy that I got most of these, pretty much all of them, for a bargain. Love bargain hunting. Definitely check out Blackwells for those random discounted volumes, and also definitely use my SciFier discount code to get extra percentage off your orders on SciFier. But yeah, hope you enjoyed this manga haul. Let me know down below if you saw anything that you're interested in getting, or tell me what you're collecting at the moment, and even some recommendations as well, which I'm always happy to hear from you all. If you haven't already, definitely subscribe for more manga content. I'm posting pretty much every week. Thank you so much again for watching and making it to the end of this video, and hopefully I'll see you in my next one. Bye!